My sister knowingly slept with my husband while I was in the hospital delivering our twins, and she claims it was to comfort him during a stressful time. 3 days ago, I gave birth to beautiful twin boys. It was a traumatic delivery. I hemorrhaged and nearly needed a blood transfusion. It was touch and go for about 2 hours. While I was lying there, terrified I was going to die and leave my babies motherless, my husband, Mark, was apparently getting comforted by my younger sister, Jenna. I found out yesterday morning. Mark was in the shower, and his phone kept buzzing on the nightstand. I usually respect his privacy, but I was hormonal, exhausted, and anxious, so I glanced at it. It was a thread with Jenna. The preview showed a message that made my blood run cold. She was asking if he was sore from the other night and joking about how she hoped I wouldn't notice the scratches on his back. I felt like the floor dropped out from under me. I opened the phone. He hadn't changed his passcode in years, and read everything. The timestamps matched the exact hours I was in recovery, unconscious. When I confronted him, he didn't even try to deny it. He just sank to the floor and cried. He told me that he thought he was losing me in the hospital and he had a severe panic attack. He claimed Jenna came over to our house to feed the dog, saw him falling apart, and held him to calm him down. He said one thing led to another, and she convinced him that he needed a physical release to stay strong for me. Jenna is the worst part. When I called her, screaming, she didn't apologize. She told me that I was being hysterical and that I should be grateful she stepped in to handle his stress so he wouldn't burden me while I was recovering. She actually said she did it for me, to keep him stable. She claims it wasn't an affair, just crisis management. I feel sick, humiliated, and completely ruined. My entire support system has imploded in 48 hours, and I have 2 newborns who need me. I feel like I'm in a nightmare I can't wake up from. Mark's parents are telling me not to make rash decisions because of the twins and my hormones. But I can't even look at him without wanting to vomit. Mark keeps saying it was a medical trauma response and Jenna says she was helping the family. Am I losing my mind? How do I handle this when I can barely walk? Commenter: this is gaslighting on an Olympic level. Your sister didn't help the family. She assaulted your marriage while you were bleeding out. Medical trauma response is the most pathetic excuse for infidelity I've ever heard. You aren't losing your mind. OP, kick him out, lock her, and get a lawyer immediately. Do not listen to anyone telling you to keep the peace for the babies. The peace is already dead. You need to protect yourself and your children from these toxic people. Update: 5 days later. Reading that comment really snapped me back to reality. I realized that my anger wasn't hormonal, it was survival instinct. I told Mark that he needed to leave the house immediately. He tried to argue, saying that he couldn't leave me alone with twins while I was still recovering from the C-section. But I told him that looking at his face was doing more damage to my recovery than lifting a car would. He eventually packed a bag and went to stay with a friend, crying the whole time about how I was breaking up the family. The fallout with my family has been even worse. I told my parents everything. I expected them to be furious with Jenna, but the dynamic in her house has always been complicated. Jenna is the baby, the one who always needs extra help. When I explained that she slept with Mark, my mother actually asked me if I was sure I didn't misunderstand her intentions. She said Jenna has always been overly affectionate and lacks boundaries, implying that maybe Mark took advantage of her concern. I showed my mom the texts, the ones where Jenna explicitly described what they did and how alive it made them feel. My mom went quiet, but then she said something that broke me. She told me that while what Jenna did was wrong, we are sisters, and I shouldn't cut her off completely because she's fragile right now. Apparently, Jenna is spinning a story to the extended family that she and Mark bonded over the fear of losing me and that it was a spiritual connection that got physical by accident. I feel like I'm fighting a war on 2 fronts. Mark is sending me flowers and letters every day, begging for counseling, claiming he was out of his mind with grief before I even died. Jenna is texting me non-stop,